This is Joe Pryor, and welcome back. And this is I think the last section anyway, of what we're going to talk about in terms of financing. And this is finally the fix and flip. This is where you can buy distressed property, put some money into it, put some sweat equity. And believe me, I've done that. I think I explained that, I was in real estate, and yet, at 4 or 5 o'clock, what I would do, wife and I would do is, go to the house that we were trying to flip and put in some of our own labor, painting, doing other things, destructo work, whatever it happens to be, and then hiring the licensed people that needed to do certain things like roof or heat and air or anything else that it needed. And so it was something that for us was very, very valuable because we could build up cash in order to do other things. In other words, maybe buying those long-term investments. So it's something that, as we said before, earlier in this class, that it's not for everybody. It is something that has a higher risk factor. You can lose money as well as making money. So if it's right for you and you have the time and you have the crew and everything else, it's really good. Now, the most important thing is, what do we do to finance this type of thing? Getting a bank to finance is your best option. If a bank loves you, if you've got a lot of assets with the bank, then you have access to credit, that they're going, well, you got a couple of $100,000 in our savings account here or some kind of investment. And so, we're going to loan you $150,000. Now, they may say that's guaranteed by your savings account. But again, this is a lot of way that things work. The more money you have, the more generous they're going to be and the better the rates are going to be. But understand that when you're doing this, the interest rate clock is ticking as soon as you close that. So the optimal thing to do, and depending on how much repair is needed, is not to go beyond 90 days. And because, that interest is constantly eating up your profit. And as I said before, you need a lower price on these than anybody else is going to pay because you're asking for your money up front. But again, the rates that you get are going to be better than from a private mortgage. The bank is going to give you the best rate because you're one of their good folk. And they want to make sure that you're happy, they trust you, you've been a great client. And if you do it right, one thing's going to lead to another. One house is going to lead to another. This is the essence of the people that do it right are people that work with banks on a continual basis. And the terms are easy to understand. Here's the rate. If you don't get it sold by a particular amount of time, you're going to kind of pay part of it down, whatever it happens to be. They're going to be very transparent because they're federally regulated. That's the important thing to remember about a bank. They have rules that they have to follow. Private. This is another way that you can get money to fix and flip. But understand this, it is a higher interest rate. Something, I've seen people in the past do 12, 15% interest rates, and I'll tell you that they've made money. They've made money doing it. But again, remember, you've got to be in that market that's volatile, where there's foreclosures, there's people in trouble, whatever it happens to be, where you can come in, get something at an incredibly low price. And something, if you're making money, what do you really care about, when it comes to that interest rate? So your credit requirements are a little looser. They're going to be a little tighter at the bank than they are with a private lender. Definitely going to pay higher rates. Absolutely. The one thing that I would really tell you where you have to be absolutely careful is this is where I see most of the get-rich-quick seminars that can put you in serious danger, because they make these outrageous promises. Now, I don't see them as much now as I used to, but I still see them. But remember, they're trying to sell you a course. They're trying to get you to give them $1,500 or whatever. They're not making money on fix and flip. They're making money on telling you how they think you ought to do fix and flip. So again, understand that dealing with a local specialist that's willing to get into that with you is something that I would suggest that you do if you're going to do this. And most importantly, with private lenders, read the fine print. So somebody came to me. I wasn't going to do business with them in terms of finding homes for them, but they trusted me. And they said, can you read this over? This is the contract and everything. And again, I'm not an attorney, so I can't give them legal advice, all right, or financial advice. But I had an ability to point out certain things they should consider and take to their specialist, their investment specialist, and say, well, here's the thing, guys. They own the property right along with you. And you need to see the terms of repayment, how they've got this all set up. Because one thing that I see as a possibility is that you're going to put a lot of sweat equity into this and things, and somehow you may not own that property. It's not straightforward at all. It's something that you really need to read the fine print. If you're going to do fix and flip with a private lender, I know it's going to cost you money, but please have an attorney read it, have a CPA look at it. I know it's going to be an expense, but I tell you what, I'd rather be out a couple of $1,000s if that's what it costs than to be out 50 of a loss and have my credit ruined. So it can be okay. And I know some people, like in my hometown, that do it well, but I also know that their terms are something that I wouldn't accept. But it may be something that's okay for you. So most importantly, read the fine print. So the private lender can be a co-owner with you. And that can be a real problem when you don't own that property. They make it easy for themselves, and I get that. But remember, they're making a lot of money off of you, more so than anybody else. But they don't want to go into foreclosure, and that's why they're a co-owner. And again, you can run your credit, guys. You don't think that this is something that's going to become unnoticed. And most importantly, and I've emphasized this before, I don't believe it's a side hustle. I've seen this through experience. I've seen people that have lost money. I've seen people ruined. And because they think that somehow I'm in a bad place or whatever, but they're giving me this money to do all of this. And understand that that's not necessarily the way that it's always going to work. So again, I'm not against fix and flip in the right market, with the right terms, and with the right crew. It can be something that's very lucrative. It can be something that even if it's like $30,000 and you can do 3 of them in a year, all of a sudden you've got $60,000 either to do more fix and flip, or you got $60,000 that you can put into a good short-term or long-term rental. And that is why people do get into the fix and flip. But financing's tricky. And so really understand where you are on this, read the fine print, understand the risk, and then it can possibly be something okay. All right, so we've done all of that. And so now I'm going to kind of go over some summaries and kind of go through the different things going on in investment so you understand the process of how this works when you do it, no matter what kind of a loan that it is. So stay tuned, a little bit more financing coming.